Greetings and welcome to episode 129 of the Words About Gamescast, a weekly video game podcast for words about games. I'm your host, Amy Alexander. I'm joined this week by Keith Robinson,
YOLO.
Russell Iden,
Hey,
and Russell's cat's tail, which hasn't been cracking me up as I've
sugar.
been.
It's Sugar's tail.
It's Sugar's
Sugar.
tail. Because it hasn't been cracking me up while I've been trying to do the intro. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, good. It's been a while.
Yeah, no, it has been. It's always nice to have you back after you disappear for weeks on end. We never talk about you on podcasts that you're not on, right, Keith? Never.
Well, apart from the time there's like any news to do with,
Star Citizen,
Star Citizen,
which is every time
Yeah.
Russell misses a podcast.
because Russell's never here when there's some news breaking about Star Citizen.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. There's a lot of breaking news this week, but none of it's about Star Citizen. None of it's about Space Invaders either, and the T-shirt's not. It doesn't play a role. The element of surprise. Anyway, let's kick it off because we've got a lot to get through, and I don't want this to be like one of our old 2.5 hour podcasts. Remember when we used to do podcasts for 2.5 hours?
It's a young man's game doing that.
Yeah, that's true. I am neither of those things. So, there's a lot of news, and there's a lot of big news. There's a lot of important news. There's a lot of serious news. There's some funny stuff. But I decided I want to do things a bit differently this week because we always start with the biggest news, which is usually all doom and gloom. Which it is again this week. The biggest news is all doom and gloom. So instead, I want to talk about Bowsette. We talked about this a bit at the end of last week's podcast, Keith. Bowsette.
Before you even start, does Russell know who Bowsette is? Let's do the yardstick of pop culture here and see if he's picked up on it.
Well, given that I've had a little look recently at all these different news clips, yes, I know who Bowser is,
But do you know
and
how
I do play
Bowsette
games.
is?
Well, I learned that today. Let's be fair. Yes, I did
I'm
learn that
surprised
today.
you missed Amy's Twitter feed. It was
Russ
literally
doesn't use Twitter. I know his Twitter handle is right there, right underneath me. And I tag him in so much stuff, but he never actually uses Twitter, even though I keep telling him he should. Remember how I got you to use Twitter, basically, Keith?
No, you didn't get me to use Twitter.
I hounded you.
That got me to use Twitter because I got a lot of novel out of it.
You can just you look. I know the truth, so that's fine. But yes, this is the news that the headline is the only thing I wanted to read from this. The internet has been replaced by Bowser wearing the super crown. For anyone that missed our podcast on my Twitter feed over the past week, basically, new Super Mario Bros. Deluxe was announced a couple of weeks ago, and one of the features of that game is if Toad puts on the super crown as a power up, she becomes Toadette, and the internet ran with this. And the most popular form of running with this was, what if Bowser put the super crown on? And thus Bowsette was born. And it's been a runaway train ever since.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome.
I mean, I follow digital artists in the same way Gary follows game publishers. So I have seen a lot of art about this in other subjects like Bowsette. What if Boo from the Luigi's Mansion games wore the super crown? What if Chomsky, that giant ball on the chain, put on the crown?
Oh, every Mario character. In fact, it's gone beyond Mario
Yeah,
now.
I was gonna say Sonic and Tails as well.
Mm-hmm. It's been a great thing to see. Eclipsing the whole other thing that Nintendo had to deal with, that we want to talk about, that we talked about last week. But did you know, guys? Did you know that in some kind of M. Night Shyamalan, however you pronounce his name, esque twist, that in Super Mario Odyssey there was an abandoned concept of basically Bowsette. So the Super Mario Odyssey, this is from a Twitter account at Sakusuru. I'll read the tweet. So, in the art of Super Mario Odyssey that came out in Japan, there's a scrapped concept of Bowser taking over Peach's body with his own version of Cappy. And then, like, it shows the art, and he throws the cap, and then it becomes Bowsette, basically. So, Nintendo already had this idea months ago. Well, years ago now.
To be honest, that whole taking over people's body with the cat was dark enough as it was, so I can understand why they didn't have the villain do that as well.
Yeah, it's like we had our fun with that. We made our jokes last year. Mario wasn't possessing people.
No, he wasn't possessing people and dinosaurs.
Not at all.
Doing
No.
horrible, horrible things with their bodies.
There's no game. I always remember that creepypasta horror fanfic that there's no game over thing where he takes over that random dude's body with the cap, and then on his deathbed, he's like his last wish is for his kid to wear his cap, and then he puts the cap on and takes over his body, turning into like proper body horror thing.
Yeah,
Sounds it.
I love the internet. It's just some weird stuff, including this. But even better than that, did you know that there is a Bowsette fan event being held in Japan?
October the 27th or something, which is quite far in advance. I suppose to make those costumes.
So I'm going to read a little bit of what Brian Ashcraft wrote on Kotaku, who have just been on point for their Bowsette reporting. As you would expect Kotaku to be. There's a change.org Bowsette is real page, hoping to make the character canon. And next month in Japan, there will be a Bowsette gathering with fan art and cosplay. The name of the event is Ukan Kikaku Koopa Hime Onri Ibento, or Crown Plan Bowsette Only Event. Yes, I've played a lot of Japanese games. Like, I can read Japanese. Like, my pronunciation and accent, terrible. But I can actually pronounce the words without, like, tripping over them. Whereas, like, some people's names, as you guys know.
I think he's surpassing you there, or sort of like, you're like, years of reading anime, and he's just blowing past you.
It's quite difficult.
It's
very difficult to pronounce Japanese if you don't do it on a regular basis. I certainly don't do it on a regular basis.
Like, my pronunciation's awful. Like, I'm not even gonna lie and say that was good pronunciation. I can just literally sound the words out quite well.
Yeah, some of the words, like the I's, sound more like E, but
so the event will start at 12:30 p.m. on October 26th. There will be doujinshi, fan-made comics, and from 3:30 p.m., crossplay cosplay, men dressing up as female characters. There won't be an official event catalogue, and registering for cosplay is free. Oh, and there's also, like, instructions. Someone made a tutorial video on how you can turn Peach Amiibo into a Bowsette Amiibo. I got really excited for a second and thought someone had made a custom Bowsette Amiibo, and I was ready to just, like, throw all my money at them. Like, I want this, but no, it's just a tutorial.
Yeah, I think Nintendo will do a takedown on anyone that tried to do.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I love the change. The petition as well. It's not like, I mean, it's crazy. Nintendo are going to put Bowsette in Smash Bros. But it's not like we want Bowsette in the next Mario game or we want Bowsette as a playable character. It's literally just put Bowsette in Smash Bros. As a trophy, like an assist trophy, not like a full character. It's not like outlandish.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
Probably to mock up like an asset, patch it in probably.
I mean, fingers crossed for DLC, but
yeah,
I'm hoping for Mario Kart 9.
It would be hilarious if there was a day one update and someone mined it and all it is an alternative skin for Peach where she's got a shell and a tail.
I mean, she's got to be I was going to say, like, she's got to have the black dress and she's got to be the ultimate golf girlfriend. Because that's what Bowsette apparently is. I'm I'm an expert on Bowsette, thanks to Twitter. So some of the people that I follow who non-stop retweet Bowsette fan art like crazy. Anyway, that was a fun way to start the podcast. Let's get into the serious news. And this next headline is Telltale Games. So Telltale Games began the process of shutting down last week, just over a week ago, by laying off 250 out of 275 of its employees. It was breaking right as we were doing the podcast, so it was another one of those kind of stories where me and Keith talked about it, touched on it, did some speculation, and then we were like, we're probably going to end up talking about this a lot next week because that's when we're going to learn stuff. And oh my god, what a fucking roller coaster of a week it's been. Number one, before I actually get into any of the details here, episode 2 did come out for The Walking Dead, the final season. Apparently it came out on time. I say apparently because I can't download it. I have tried updating the game, reinstalling the game, verifying the game's files, and my season pass still says episode 2 coming soon, so I may never actually get to play episode 2 of The Walking Dead, the final season. But since the layoffs were announced and actually enacted, apparently, and again, there's a lot of hearsay that's going around and a lot of stuff, but apparently, according to some people who work there on Twitter, they had the employees who were fired, which is the majority of them, apparently had 3 hours to clear their desks out and leave the building after they were made aware of their redundancies. But Luke Plunkett from Kotaku writes, Telltale says, quote, potential partners, end quote, could finish The Walking Dead. Click the link. Helps, doesn't it? So I'm just going to read the statement that the Walking Dead, Telltale Games Twitter account put out about The Walking Dead, which says, hi everyone. We have a Walking Dead update for you. Multiple potential partners have stepped forward to express interest in helping to see the final season through to completion. While we can't make any promises today, we are actively working towards a solution that will allow episodes 3 and 4 to be completed and released in some form. In the meantime, episode 2 will release tomorrow across all platforms as planned. We hope to have answers for your other questions soon. Any thoughts? Any about this statement?
I've read quite a bit about this on Twitter.
I vented a little bit on Twitter about this particular
I noticed. I also know you weren't the only one. As I say, I follow quite a few artists, and some of them were from games companies. And there were like a couple that I followed that were annoyed about this announcement that they were going to have potential partners like trying to finish the Walking Dead things instead of paying the 250 to 275 odd people who were being let go their severance pays. Or I was thinking they didn't get any pay. Like
they got no severance. Their health insurance ended
at the end of the month
today. Like the day that we're recording this.
Yeah.
Their health insurance ended. They weren't given any warning or any notice. Like we discussed it last week. I said, as I was saying, like the Telltale Games Twitter account was still posting stuff 3 hours before the closure was announced. I was still getting emails about games that they were publishing like the day before they announced like this was happening. So no one working there got any notice whatsoever.
I mean, we're beginning to hear now about why it happened, because last week we were just sort of like, what? This is just totally out of the blue.
What the fuck? Like, that what? Yeah, because I remember that one night we were sitting together. You opened up Facebook. Patrick sent us a message. We read it. We were like, "What the fuck? Where did that come from?" And then the next day, we did a podcast, and it was like, "We don't know anything. It's the weekend. Like they've released this on Friday."
It was Telltale's, and the original Bowsette comic had just launched, and by the next day, Bowsette had taken over, and like Telltale was just like, "Okay, this is really happening."
But it pissed me off greatly that they released a statement. Oh, we're declaring bankruptcy, and like we have to let everybody go, and like we're closing down. We're like in the process of closing down the studio, and then like a couple of days later they come out and they're like, oh, but we're gonna get potential partners to try and finish The Walking Dead. It's like, how? You just fired everybody who makes The Walking Dead. So like even if like you want to continue it as a game, it's not going to be The Walking Dead the final season, because the people who made it are gone. Like, they are gone.
They kept 25 people, and presumably one of them was their social media management.
They have 25 people because they needed to finish a Minecraft project for Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure on the details of what that project is. They did a lot of stuff. I kind of tuned out quite a bit of it, which may have been why they ended up closing down. But I mean, I'm not saying me specifically. I mean, I know I wasn't the only one who. I mean,
your fault.
I know I've made some jokes about getting some games greenlit in the past, but
you didn't counteract Tom with all the hate he had for the Telltale engine.
I mean, I tried, but he had a lot of burning passion about that Telltale engine.
And a few valid points.
They really did need a new engine. But
unfortunately, too little, too late.
Yeah, that's why the 25 people were kept on. Like, it would have cost them more, for the creditors. Again, I said this on my Xbox and me through the week. Like, I know just enough lore to know what I'm doing on YouTube and Twitch without getting sued. So, when we enter the realms of other laws, my knowledge base is whatever I read about any given situation.
Yeah. I learned a lot about Californian employment law just by reading a tweet about legal action that I can't remember his name. One employee has filed a class action lawsuit.
Well, funny you should mention that, Keith, because
you could do by yourself.
As Andy Chalk of PC Gamer writes, Telltale Games sued by former employee over mass layoffs. I want to read a bit of this story. A former Telltale Games employee has filed a lawsuit against the company alleging that the recent layoff of more than 250 employees without warning or severance is a violation of the WARN Act, which stands for Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification. Available via Polygon, the lawsuit alleges that, quote, the defendant violated the WARN Act by failing to give the plaintiff and the class of similarly situated employees he seeks to represent at least 60 days advance written notice of termination, as required by the WARN Act, end quote. That class, if approved by the court, will include approximately 275 employees, including those who were let go and the skeleton crew that remains employed at Telltale. The lawsuit seeks an amount equal to the sum of all of the aggrieved employees' unpaid wages, salary, commissions, bonuses, accrued holiday pay, accrued vacation pay, pension and 401k contributions, and other ERISA benefits. It doesn't say what that actually stands for 60 days following the member employee's termination. Interest, attorney's fees, and such other and further relief as this court may deem just and proper are also requested. The WARN Act requires that companies of a certain size provide notice prior to layoffs, but the situation is complicated by exemptions, including unforeseen business circumstances for which Telltale may be eligible. Variety reports that the end came very abruptly when a partner, rumoured to be Lionsgate, suddenly backed out of its funding deal with Telltale, leading Telltale to cancel its Stranger Things deal with Netflix. But Telltale's problem, as explained in a detailed breakdown of the situation at GameDaily.biz, is that California has its own version of the WARN Act without an unforeseeable business event exemption. As Telltale is based in the state, it could find itself on the hook for penalties at the state level, even if it is exempted at the federal level. And then there's a bit at the end which says, I reached out to Telltale for comment, and they haven't got a reply. There's no one at Telltale who's going to reply to that.
I'm really hoping one of those 25 people that they stayed on was a lawyer.
that thing you didn't know what it was is Employee Retirement Income Security Act, and it's about minimum standard of retirement, health, and other welfare plans.
All right, so it kind of ties in.
It's just more,
the pensions,
the
401k and stuff.
Yeah.
Good for that employee for doing this. I mean, it's that. I mean, I read a bit about this law because obviously, I've read the Polygon article, I've read a GamesIndustry.biz breakdown of this, and it has to do with the WARN Act says that if a company fires a certain amount of employees, over I believe 75, they have to give them 60 days notice, or pay them pay them their due pay and their back pay and all that other stuff that was in there. and their health insurance has to last for 60 days. So there's a case.
There's a very big case there, and they're going to lose, but because they're filing for bankruptcy, and they'll just fall on that and say, we don't have the money, blah, blah, blah.
Well, this is where the potential partners thing gets quite interesting, because...
Oh, because they're... Okay, so they could potentially... But then again, if they're going to get slapped with a massive fine and have to pay out loads of dosh,
who's going to
any
be...
potential partners are going to fucking join in and go, yeah, we'll pay that, don't worry.
Yeah, because, like, if Telltale Games files for bankruptcy, they have creditors. And those creditors... Because I remember some of this from 38 Studios and THQ back in the day. Which we talked about last week as well. So those creditors, what ends up happening is they end up in a list, and then it's sell everything that Telltale Games has, and then take the money, and then creditor number 1 gets paid off, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. If they win, if this class action lawsuit, if Telltale lose, then all of those 275 people become creditors, and
so
they
they'll
get
have
put
to
to
sell
the
their
top
engine.
of the list.
That's the most valuable thing they've got, probably. And it's probably it's outdated, as we know.
Well, the thing about Telltale Games is, like, number one, yes, it will absolutely scare off potential investors to finish The Walking Dead, because, like, the money that they give Telltale, they might not even be able to use to finish The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I mean, I know that stuff about buying toxic debt and stuff, but that I don't know if you could use it even as a tax write-off. There's no one left there, as you said before.
Yeah, but there's somebody there. They still have assets.
Well, here's the thing.
Digital.
When THQ went down 7 or 8 years ago, they had IPs. So they sold all of the stuff, the furniture, the computers, the workstations, the chairs, everything went in an auction. But it was the IPs that obviously got most money. Now, Telltale doesn't have any IPs because they were
an engine.
They've got an engine, presumably, a dodgy engine that they were replacing with a new engine, and we don't know how far along the new engine was, because The Walking Dead was supposed to be the final game on the Telltale engine. I can't remember what it's called now, but Telltale Telltale buy licenses to make games. The Walking Dead, Tales from the Borderlands, Game of Thrones.
So they sell them on.
They can't sell the licenses because
that's a good point. Yeah.
Like, for example,
they don't own them.
Yeah,
they
Robert Kirkman, I think, owns the Walking Dead license, or like his company. So they can't sell it. The license would just go back to
renegotiate it with whoever new partner would want it.
So because they haven't made any of their own IPs, they can't sell anything.
There might even be clauses in some of those contracts saying that they can't be sold on. That they might have a third-party exclusion, so Telltale couldn't let other companies work on it, that they had to do it themselves.
Well,
so it means they've got no staff to make games, they've got no IPs to sell. Who's going to swoop in and buy out this company? Because at this point, if there's no staff to work there, I can't even see Microsoft coming and going, "Oh, we'll save it," because what they're going to do, spend millions to finish a few episodes in a shoddy fashion, because it's not going to be this, or at least not in the same fashion.
Exactly.
Just for some PR, I think this is why we haven't heard about Microsoft going, ooh, because when you look at it, there's nothing there to buy. Nothing that they'll get to keep.
There's a name, Telltale Games. That's literally all you could really buy.
Yeah, you get a trademark, but nothing that was behind that trademark.
Yeah, unless you move incredibly quickly, and I mean incredibly quickly, to basically buy the company and the name and retain the staff that will let go.
All the staff.
To bring all of those staff members back in under the new banner.
2-year contract or something like that.
If we don't hear anything by next week, I think it's too late.
But you have to move incredibly quickly because these people need jobs.
Went down. As soon as this place went down, all different places. I mean, even your Airship Syndicate, the people who did Battle Chasers, they've put out notices to people who work at Telltale and stuff. Oh, we're looking for some staff.
Yeah,
come over here.
And they're a very small company.
That the industry response to this has been amazing. Like it always was. Like it was when Capcom Vancouver went earlier that week. Like Ubisoft, but like obviously it was so much worse in Telltale's case because Telltale didn't pay anyone anything.
Yeah, I mean, there was someone that started there that week who had just moved to the city and is like,
he doesn't have a job or insurance or
Not-
anything. They were they were hiring people the week that they went bankrupt.
yeah.
They were still
I
hiring
mean,
people.
It's a lack of foresight there, right there, isn't it? It's like
It's either a lack of foresight or it's management trying
not
to make it
telling
look
them.
like everything is. They. It feels like they were trying to limp along to try and get
Yeah.
The Walking Dead out
to
And-
save them.
prior that would save them. And again, obviously, like Lionsgate pulled funding allegedly, which caused them to have to cancel the Stranger Things game, which I imagine Netflix probably paid them quite well for.
Well, they probably realized is that once they got to the release time of season 2 and they didn't have enough pre-orders or enough cash flowing, it was just like, we can't continue. It's gonna.
Yeah, essentially they
That's
just ran out of money. But
So
what pissed me off and what could potentially fuck them in terms of this class action lawsuit is they've done things backwards. They've let the entire staff go, and then a few days later, oh, we've got potential partners who could rescue The Walking Dead. You do that the other way around. You get the potential partners on the hook, and then if that falls through, you regrettably close the studio down. You try to save
business first.
It's possible that they didn't have that they'd gone everyone that they knew, and that these potential partners have appeared out of the woodwork after hearing about it. But after class action lawsuits and people want
our money back.
Yeah.
I mean, annoyingly, not annoyingly. I was talking to someone today who just started playing the Walking Dead season on that PlayStation. It's like,
Oh, you'll not be able to finish that now.
This will never be finished.
I was asking them about it and they had no idea.
Yeah.
Possibly because they don't follow the developer on Twitch. On
Twitter. Well, this is the thing. It's not a lot of this stuff flies by most casual gamers. I don't use it.
I wouldn't have known about it until today. Yeah.
As they're known in Japan, mundanes.
But it's a terrible situation for a lot of reasons, and that is one of them. But The Walking Dead is never going to be finished in the way that it was supposed to be, because there isn't the team that made it. It's like
it would be miraculous if the team came back together, finished it the way it was envisaged, and it got released.
Yeah, essentially.
That's really it's the way things have gone in the last couple of days. And since you can't even get it.
Yes, and that was the last part of this news story so far. Telltale's The Walking Dead, the final season, has been removed from sale on digital stores, according to Matt Wales at Eurogamer, which is exactly what it sounds like. You can't buy The Walking Dead. There's a few places you could still buy it, but I imagine it's just them catching up to turning it off on everywhere, which is the right move, because Telltale made a switch, so that instead of being able to buy individual episodes, you buy a season pass, and that's all you buy for The Walking Dead, the final season.
Yeah.
And it's disingenuous to sell it when you're only going to get 2 out of the 4 episodes, probably.
Yeah. I wonder if they made that switch because they knew they needed
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It makes so much sense in hindsight of, we need money, what do we do? Well, why don't we just sell The Walking Dead, the final season, as a full season pass, so that people pay the full, however much it was. I don't know. I was lucky enough to get a review code for the game, so I didn't buy it, so I don't have any money sunk into this. Fortunately for me personally, not so fortunate for the people who actually did go out and buy it. This is another reason why you don't pre-order content, which is essentially what a season pass is. Because you might not get the content. Anyway, let's move on. Tons more to talk about. This news made me sad, but then the follow-up story made me a little bit happier. No PlayStation Experience Convention in 2018. From a story written by Imran Khan over at Game Informer. PlayStation Experience, the yearly convention held by Sony to celebrate the PlayStation brand and show off new games, is not being held this year, according to Sony Interactive Entertainment chairman Sean Layden. Layden confirmed the news on the PS blogcast, suggesting that there just isn't enough to show this year. Quote, now that we have Spider-Man out the door, we're looking down in 2019 to games like Dreams and Days Gone. But we wouldn't have enough to bring people together in some location in North America to have that event. We don't want to set expectations really high and then not deliver on it. End quote. And then it's just a history of PSX, which...
Wasn't it last year? Sorry, can I just... Because wasn't it last year there was one trailer we were all kind of excited for from this event? And it was either Spider-Man or it was... Oh, I don't know. I can't remember now, but I'm sure it was Spider-Man.
Last year's PSX had this exact problem in that, because I was thinking about this, because PSX was, it's a fan event as much as it is a press conference. They do a showcase to show off stuff that they're working on. Like this is, for example, PSX 2 years ago was where they first announced Uncharted Lost Legacy and The Last of Us Part 2. But it's where they showed off like to their fans. Whereas something like E3 or Paris Games Week or Gamescom, which shows they've historically done, are where they're showing off to everybody. To be just PlayStation players aren't necessarily their biggest fans, to the press, to influencers, stuff like that. But what they tried to do last year was, because they were in a similar situation, because they've essentially been showing off the same games for the last couple of years, and they don't have anything really massively new to show, they try to do these panels. Where it was just people talking to Hideo Kojima, or there was a panel talking to like developers on Last of Us Part 2, and it didn't go down so well. So I think what they've done is they've just gone, we don't want to do that again this year, because it didn't go down well as far as a mindshare thing and a PR thing. Because I was wondering, like, why don't they just have the event anyway for their fans to come and congregate, but just don't do a showcase?
Like, don't do a whole vid thing.
Yeah. But then I thought, like, no, they kind of tried that last year and it didn't go down so well. Sorry, Keith, you had a question.
No, it's my question was kind of answered by the fact that Russell actually remembered something from like PSX. Because like, obviously, Amy, you spend a lot of time looking at these events and stuff, whereas me and Russell don't.
Yeah, I didn't
was like,
particularly watch it. But
No.
I remember a highlight for that. Oh, this has been announced or whatever it was. I'm sure it was either Spider-Man or it was something else. Or
I mean, it was probably Game Awards, because that happens usually a couple of days before PSX. Because that was when they did like last year's Game Awards. They did like Soul Calibur 6. Was revealed there.
Soul Calibur, wasn't it? Yes, it was.
But it was
Calibur.
at the Game Awards.
It was revealed. I couldn't remember what, and I was just so
See,
excited.
I knew
Because it was just like one of my predictions.
It's like 4 a.m. and I was just like, fuck's sake.
That was it. Yeah.
you
Otherwise,
felt like
I would not have paid attention to it at all.
With a mobile game.
Yeah.
Well, I got the point. Yeah.
But there were no announcements at PSX last year. So now they've just taken it one step further and just said, we're not doing PSX this year. Which kind of sucks, because I always liked PSX. Like, again, not just for the showcase, I liked watching the developers get up on stage and talk about stuff. Like, talk about their games that they're making, or the games that they have recently made. So it kind of sucks that that's not happening. But in the wake of this news happening, Greg Miller of Kind of Funny Games sends out a tweet. Sends out 3 tweets, actually. I'm going to read all 3. Sean Layden has confirmed on the PlayStation blogcast that there's no PSX this year. So, Kind of Funny will fill the void and hold a press conference the Saturday after the Game Awards. Devs/publishers, do you want to be a part of Kind of Funny Games Showcase 12/8, which is the 8th of December, because Americans can't do dates properly.
I know.
Hit me up. Second tweet. I'm serious. Third tweet. To be clear, I'm talking about devs publishers getting us trailers /dev diaries /etc. and we stitch it together for an online Kind of Funny Games showcase. So far, developers that have responded publicly to this include Housemark, Devolver Digital, Easberg Games, who were making an awesome RPG I played at EGX a few years ago called Y2K. And basically, a lot of indie devs have publicly responded to this. If there were going to be any big devs there, they wouldn't have publicly responded to the tweet. They would have just emailed.
Yeah.
Greg, it's cool that this is happening. Now, instead of getting a PlayStation-focused event, which would have still been cool, we're getting an event we know nothing about that's going to show a bunch of stuff off for all sorts of different platforms.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. Like, I feel like it's going to be indie-focused just because I feel like that's where
the majority of that clips will be coming from.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, Devolver Digital have said they've got something, so...
Devolver Digital has something.
I don't think it's going to be...
might not even be relative, but, you know.
I don't think it's going to be the next part of the E3 cinematic universe, but...
It's not that. I was referring to the fact that maybe they need to seek psychiatric help, but yeah,
I mean, if they can get Nina Struthers to show up... The thing about it kind of funny is...
Kill Greg Miller on stage.
Well, Greg Miller was in the first Devolver Digital big fancy press conference because he was one of the influencers doing the reaction shots to the press conference in the actual press conference. But like the thing about the kind of funny guys, especially Greg, is they know so many people in the industry. Like they could literally get anybody, like just about.
Bring me the head of Alfredo Garcia.
So this is exciting.
Bring me Shu.
Shu, if they could get Shu, like they've had Shu on their podcast when they did a PlayStation podcast. So that was pretty cool. And on the back of this, we had an announcement at Inside Xbox last week because they did Inside Xbox, which is their live stream for Xbox stuff. Which is Microsoft announces the XO18 fan event. Reading from Colin Stevens' IGN. During today's Inside Xbox live stream, Phil Spencer announced XO18, an event aimed towards Xbox fans around the world. Detailed on the official Xbox website, XO18 will be hosted on Saturday, November 10th during the 4th annual Xbox Fan Fest in Mexico City. The event will be live streamed as an Inside Xbox episode, so fans outside of Mexico can join in on promised announcements. This will be the largest Inside Xbox episode so far, reportedly clocking in at 2 hours. There will be announcements from both first-party and third-party developers. So Sony have come out and they've been like, you know what, guys? We had a weird E3. Played you some music. We showed you some games. We had an intermission while we shuffled everybody from one hall to another hall. So we're not going to do PSX this year. And then out comes Greg Miller at Kind of Funny and Microsoft, who have both said, like, we're doing a thing.
We're doing something.
We've got just one more thing. So now we've gone from shit, PSX been cancelled. All we've got left is the Game Awards to Jeff Keighley turning around and being like, oh, we've still got loads of stuff for the Game Awards. Microsoft doing a 2-hour showcase in Mexico City in November, and now Kind of Funny doing a showcase instead of PSX.
And then Columbo comes out and just says, and just one more thing, and then Nintendo Direct starts up.
There will be Nintendo Directs, like there always is. So there'll probably be like another 1 or 2 Nintendo Directs by the end of the year as well. So PlayStation kind of shit the bed a little bit here, in terms of mindshare.
Well, maybe they're trying to go quiet, so when they release stuff next year, it'll be more exciting.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
they have such a share of basically just consoles in homes that they can do this and not drop.
Oh, 100%. Like, they can just rely on third parties. Like, they've got nothing coming out for the rest of the year anyway. Next February 22nd, 2019, they've got Days Gone is coming out, and at some point Dreams is coming out. Now, that still leaves them with Death Stranding, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima. Are any of those games coming out next year? Because it doesn't sound like it based on this.
Death Stranding, for all we know, could be like you have to go into an escape room and get out within 30 minutes to get it, because it is we know nothing.
Well, the thing we know about Death Stranding is we know about the love affair between Jeff Keighley and Hideo Kojima, so we know that that's going to be at the Game Awards in some capacity.
Yes.
So it was never going to be.
I mean,
it was never going to be a major thing at PSX anyway. So that leaves 2 games: The Last of Us Part 2, which they just had a major blowout with at E3, and Ghost of Tsushima, which they just had a major blowout at E3. And if they're not ready to show big things about both of these things, there's really no point. So I get that, but at the same time now we've got these awesome conferences we don't know anything about. These could be amazing. Fuck knows what Microsoft's going to do. Fuck knows what's going to happen at Kind of Funny's thing. And the Game Awards will probably just be like some really awkward speeches with some really cool trailers in between them. And if there's any justice in the world, another live Doom music performance. Do we think XO18 is going to be a big deal in terms of announcements? Like, as a fan fest, it'll be a fan fest, right? But
I've got a feeling there'll be a lot of indie showing off.
a lot of ID at Xbox stuff, you think?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
No, I don't think so. If I had to make a guess, I'd say there'd be like one surprise announcement and potential inside looks at things that they've already said, and that's about it.
I'm trying to think of what they've announced. So they'll Crackdown 3. Like, if they're going to do stuff that they've already announced,
Yeah.
that'll be a thing.
That's coming next year.
Forza will already be out because it's coming out on Tuesday. Then that's it, really. They're in a position of we don't really know what they're doing either.
Yeah.
Well,
They...
maybe they've got more to show off than.
Or maybe.
Well, we odd place to like show something new that they wouldn't have shown previously. But yeah, they could do something. I just have a feeling that they're going to do like a sort of like a platform where people can learn about new games and stuff. I just doubt it's going to be first party.
Yeah.
I think this is a test run, if anything.
Yeah.
Because I think if this November next year, they'll have a lot more to talk about. They've just bought 5 studios, including Ninja Theory, Compulsion Games,
There is
Playground
one thing
Games,
they can
who
talk
is
about.
rumored to be making Fable 4. So this might be a test run, and then next year at XO18, they're just like, here's a fucking bunch of awesome shit, and we're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, I would really love Ninja Theory just to come out and go, we've heard all the comments, we've read the Steam forum pages over and over again. Yeah, we're finally releasing the soundtrack that Setsuna helped. It's like...
That's a tweet, not a freaking press conference thing. Don't get me wrong.
It took them 9 months to reply to the Steam threads, which was 18 pages long.
I think they were a little busy making a hit game, porting it over to Xbox and getting bought by Microsoft. Sorry, Russell, you were going to say something.
I was going to say there's a couple of things they could, well, at least one thing they can probably show off and blah, 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 but it's one of our topics, so it's weird.
We've got a lot of topics.
Yeah. It's an Xbox one.
Oh, yeah, okay. So the other two main things that came out of the Inside Xbox live stream, mouse and keyboard support coming soon, or Xbox One. And new Xbox avatars should launch in October. Yeah, they're starting with Warframe. So, mouse and keyboard support is going to be
a thing
on the developer's side, not on Microsoft's side. So they're enabling it, but it's up to developers to implement it.
Yeah.
Which is Warframe's going to be the first developer to actually implement.
So you probably won't see it on Overwatch.
I fucking hope you don't see it on Overwatch.
Yeah, that would just kill competitive on Xbox if that happened.
For anyone who doesn't for anyone who bought Overwatch on a console because they didn't want to play it with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
They'd have to segregate the player base, which would split the player base, which even EA knows nowadays is not a good thing to do with a competitive multiplayer game.
The only way to get around that slightly would be to do cross thing between anyone on Xbox who's using the mouse and keyboard and actual PCs.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how that would work.
I mean, we don't know how much... we don't know how well this is going to work, for starters.
Then, on the other side, there's the avatars. And I'll say one thing, the picture that I'm looking at was pretty funky.
The avatars are really cool, the new avatars. If you haven't seen them, go Google them, new Xbox avatars. They've been talking about them for a while.
A long time.
They're supposed to be huge improvements of what we've got. But ironically, actually, as I was changing my account information on my Xbox just the other day, I fooled around with the avatars because I needed to change my avatar. because it wasn't very representative of me as a person anymore. And yeah, that for starters, and the current avatar system is woeful, just atrocious.
I went on it a while back, and it's not
It is
changed.
better than me. So.
Yeah.
These new avatars do look really cool. It's really cool that they're really inclusive as well. One of the big things was like disabilities are going to be included.
I mean, every time I hear this story, I just think back to the poster child that I had for this, which was the woman with the replacement arm with the undercut, the dress, belt boots, and riding a unicorn.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'd probably just give it a robot.
Yeah, like they look really cool, and like it's something like I love character customization stuff. It's one of the reasons why I always end up getting drawn back into The Sims. But so I'm gonna mess around with this for sure. But it's not going to hold my attention because once I've made the perfect avatar for myself, like I'm done. I'm not going to buy anything, any accessories or anything for it because I'm not that kind of person. But
yeah, but if you have to buy something as simple as, for example, a wheelchair, that would suck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they're not going to do that. Like the company that just released the adaptive controller isn't going to charge people for a wheelchair to use with their avatars. Then
that would suck balls.
There is a game that I know of that uses the Xbox avatars. A game.
So, my butt. If they start making games that you can use these avatars in.
Well, like kind of like racing games or something like that, or.
Well, here was my pitch on my Xbox and me. Now they can make all sorts of different games. They can be RPGs with these avatars. Racing games, like I said. My pitch was, some development team in Microsoft, doesn't have to be one of their big ones, goes out, buys a Switch, buys a copy of Super Mario Party for that Switch, plays the shit out of it, rips it the fuck off, releases it on Xbox with avatars.
Yeah, that would probably work.
Every year, I think it might be called but there was a PlayStation game which my sister's got and we played for the last 2 years at Christmas, where you choose one of like 6 different avatars, and then you just basically go through these like series, like almost a pyramid style of like questions until you get then the person who gets to the top of the pyramid first wins, and then there's stuff like that. All of these different like game show style like games, but you could just use your own avatar in them.
1 versus 100? No. They closed that years ago. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out what game you were talking about. But yes, you can absolutely... Like, if they're going to relaunch the avatars, why not make some games for them as well? Like,
I was going to say, I only have one game that uses the Xbox avatars. And that's optional. And it's basically, it's like a puzzle thing for various different levels. And if you fall off the level because it's floating in the cloud, you just fall back onto the level.
There was a few... I remember Guitar Hero 5 on Xbox 360. Instead of having to create a character, you could use your Xbox avatar. It was terrible because obviously the graphics of an avatar versus the graphics of Guitar Hero that was a bit.
I remember Rock Band.
Oh, Rock Band was amazing. I've still got those photos that we made somewhere of all the different characters.
Cheesy Surrender Monkeys?
Yes, that was on him. CESM, because it wouldn't let us put Cheesy and Surrender Monkeys into the game. Mm-hmm. Which was based on a Simpsons joke. We weren't trying to be offensive. It was literally a Simpsons joke.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure.
If you don't understand why that might be offensive to some people, then you should probably go back and watch classic Simpsons. Because there's one minority that, yes, it would affect.
Yes. But just remembering all of Willy quotes now. Somebody save me from the wee turtles. But the like I'll pick up and drop avatars in about half an hour unless they make games. If they made games, I would always be messing around with my avatar, and then I might even consider buying some, because there's going to be cosmetic accessories for them. I
mean, just a question to Russell. When you bought your Xbox One, were you like me? Did you look at your avatar and go, oh, look, they kind of dropped using this and not bother changing yours or anything for like 4 years previously? When
I looked at it about, fucking hell, maybe about 6 or 9 months ago, potentially last year. You know, I can't exactly remember when. But it'd been a while after after actually having my Xbox. I looked at it. I was like, oh, it's my old avatar. Let's have a look. I'm still wearing this the Halo helmet, and I'm still got like a T-shirt on, and blah blah blah. And it's just like looking at the options and stuff. Yeah, fuck this. I'm not touching this. Fucking see what it
I'm
is.
wearing a Planeswalker, dual Planeswalker's 2012 baseball cap, which
Yeah.
I got in 2012
Of
for
course.
beating a certain achievement.
Yeah, I remember when there were achievements tied to Avatar things.
Yeah.
I have Adam Jensen's
So I got
glasses.
the-
I'm not wearing them, but you know the specs from Deus
Helmet.
Ex. I have
Yeah.
those because I obviously did an achievement in Deus Ex Human Revolution. Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about still.
Yep.
On any other week, this would have been top story. Now, it's here. We're going to talk about it anyway. Sony finally allows Fortnite crossplay between PS4, PC, Xbox, and Switch. Writes Tyler Wilde of PC Gamer. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, I'm just going to read the thing. Earlier this summer, Fortnite players discovered that if they played the game on a PS4, they couldn't use the same Epic account on a Switch. And then they got very mad, and we learned that once again, Sony was blocking crossplay with its console competitors. Blah, 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 blah. An open beta started today, which will allow PS4 players to play with users on Android, iOS, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PC, and Mac, as well as enable cross-platform progression, so they can take their account between PC, Switch, and PS4 if they want. There's a notable exception, an absence from that particular list of cross-progression, but sure, it's not important. Quote, this represents a major policy change for SIE, and we are now in the planning process across the organisation to support this change. We will update the community once we have more details to share, including more specifics regarding the beta timeframe and what this means for other titles going forward. End quote. And that was from John Kadira, who's the global CEO and president of Sony, who's a big deal. Like, this is several steps above where normally we get PlayStation announcements from. It happened. It's happening.
Yeah.
Well, we knew it was possible. So
I'm not sure what they need to beta test.
Yeah.
Given that was accidentally beta test, 9 months ago?
Accidentally beta test a while ago.
Yeah.
When Epic turned it on by accident.
Yeah.
And also they do actually offer this kind of service between PC and PS4 on certain games anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say good on them because I feel like it's taken them long enough to do this. And I feel like this should have been a thing a while ago. So well done for finally doing the right thing, PlayStation. Took you long enough. Let's move on. The reason I knew I could bury that was because I knew it's one of those things where it's just like, it happened. Yay. Okay. Let's talk about almost discussed thing in our group chat, thanks to me and Patrick. Total War Rome 2 dev says it won't remove female generals from the game. Yeah, we're into that portion of the podcast now. You know how there's big topics that we hit on routinely in podcasts?
Yeah.
This podcast hits on every single one. All at once. Total War Rome 2 developer Creative Assembly issued a statement on Twitter responding to complaints from some players stemming from the game's inclusion of female generals, saying it has no plans to change the feature. Creative Assembly's response comes a month after complaints were lodged at a community manager in Steam forum discussions, and 6 months after the game's initial update that included playable female characters went live. A reactionary portion of the game's audience recently argued that Creative Assembly is forcing players to use female generals as playable characters, which the developer states is false. The reports gained traction thanks to one particular screenshot posted to Total War Rome 2's Steam Community Hub, where they had all female generals, basically. Creative Assembly had to actually release a statement on Twitter, which said, in regards to the current debate about Rome 2, there have been no changes to recruitable female general spawn rates, but with the addition of the family tree feature and the new gameplay options it brings, playable factions may gain more female family members via marriage. If a player has their male family members seek a wife and get married, more females enter the family. This means more female characters may appear as recruitable characters, but again, only in those factions where female characters may be recruited as generals. Female characters appear throughout the game, but have between a 10 and 15% chance of appearing as recruitable generals for some of the playable factions. The exceptions are the Greek states, Rome, Carthage, and some Eastern factions, which have a 0% chance, and Kush, which has a 50% chance. This is to broadly represent the cultural differences in those factions during the time the game is set. These percentage changes are moddable by players. We've not seen a verifiable bug where this is shown to be different or not working as intended. We have no plans to patch this out or remove this feature from the game. Let's stop there. There's more to this story I'm going to read. But let's stop right at the point where a game developer had to issue a statement explaining what happens when a man marries a woman and how that could affect the number of women who appear in your video game. I mean,
I like the fact they're inclusive enough to say that if you have your male general look for to marry a woman,
yeah,
because you may have them seek to marry a man.
I mean, it's history, right? Like, but yeah, it's like if you have them look to marry a woman, then they're going to marry a woman, and that means that there's going to be women in your family tree. Like, what's so hard to understand about that? For their next trick, I hear Creative Assembly are going to explain to their user base where babies come from. Like, I don't. This game's been out for so long. Where did this come from?
It's a non-issue because, as stated in that, like, I don't know, disclaimer, whatever you want to call it, it says these percentages changes are moddable by players.
Yeah,
just
because
mod
it's
it out.
easy.
If you don't want to see it, mod it out. Like,
yeah,
like, come on, guys. There must be mod out there already.
Like, this is on Steam, so you know for a fact there are mods that already exist that take all the women out of the game and make all of the men really buff and topless and like have abs and six packs and stuff. Because I assume that's what these people want.
I was gonna go with there's probably like a thing out there to mod all of the female generals, or possibly all of the generals, to the cast of some Japanese anime.
Now you see, this is what I would have assumed, and it was the joke I would have made. Like, oh, there's a mod out there where all these people can just make their female generals all big-titted anime girls, or Bowsette, but they don't want women in their game, so like, where does that leave that? Anyway, I want to continue. I love that statement so much, and the fact that it had to happen. The developer's response echoes what Ella, the aforementioned community manager for Creative Assembly, explained in August. Her response to player outcry quickly became the breeding ground for more dissension and bad actors spreading misinformation, which Creative Assembly has now cleared up. So this is what Ella wrote. Firstly, I'll say it again, Total War games are historically authentic, not historically accurate. If having female units upset you that much, you can either mod them out, or just not play. People saying that they won't buy the game because there are too many women in it is fine with us. If that's their reason, we'd rather they didn't anyway. End quote. Her comment, which also included a note about unacceptable language, such as words like cuck, SJW, and feminazi. I need to start that bingo card at some point. Led to people demanding Creative Assembly fire her. Ella responded to the outcry on Steam in a follow-up post. Quote, I'm not HR, nor is it my job to push a personal agenda. I convey the views of the company, which is where the statement regarding historical authenticity versus historical accuracy and the inclusion of women originates. End quote. And then this all came about as a news thing because they've started review bombing the game on Steam. So there's a few things I want to unpack there. The first one is related to the last point. Didn't we talk about on a podcast not that long ago, Steam were enacting something to stop review bombing? I feel like we talked about this. Like they were doing a thing so that you couldn't review bomb a game like this.
Vaguely, I remember something talked about that a while back.
Is it not possibly for a game that hasn't come out yet? Because that would, you know what I mean. Whereas a game that's out, obviously you can do a review for. I imagine you can do a review for definitely if you've paid for it. Whether or not you've actually,
you can do a review if you've been paid for it. You just have to tell people you were paid for it.
Right.
Not on Steam, I mean just in general. I don't think you can get paid for a review on Steam. I don't know why anybody would pay someone to leave a review on Steam.
Yeah, that sounds contrary.
I do remember people getting wrong for reviewing their own game on Steam.
Yes, that did happen.
Yes.
We did a long talk about a developer who ended up
Yes,
getting banned
the
from
developer
Steam.
was-
For
Yes, I was there for that one.
I mean, point number 2. Good job on the whole trying to get this nice lady who works at Creative Assembly fired just because she told you to fuck off in so many words.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Good job on Creative Assembly for not actually firing her. That was aimed at ArenaNet. Meanwhile, as a follow-up, Sims 4 staffer urges fans to stop attacking/insulting our dev team, writes Skeeter Jackson over at Kotaku.
You're cutting out there, mate, for me. I don't know if
Yeah.
you're cutting out for Keith.
No, he's cut out entirely for that for me, yeah.
So, repeat.
I mean, it's going to be fine on this end, so it's super awkward that you did that. But Sims 4 staffer urges fans to stop attacking/insulting our dev team, writes Skeeter Jackson at Kotaku. There's a long story here, but basically Sims fans are the worst. And like, so the Sims have these community gurus, right? So not many games do have this level of interaction with their fans. But basically, these Sims gurus, they talk to fans and interact with them and answer questions with them on Twitter. And a bunch of angry Sims fans have basically decided that they're not happy with certain things that were removed from The Sims 4 or not in The Sims 4 or things that put in The Sims 4 over other things. And, well, they're throwing insults and harassment at the community people on Twitter to the point where one of the community gurus had to basically step away from Twitter and stop interacting with their community members entirely. And one of the other kind of Sims gurus ended up having to make a statement saying, "Please stop insulting and harassing us community gurus, otherwise we're not going to be able to do this anymore." I don't think that'll have stopped it though.
No, it's just people spoiling it for others, which is a normal thing.
Yeah. Okay. First on Discord launches with 7 games, says Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer. This is the story we reported on a little while ago, which is Discord is going to start selling games, but not only are they going to start selling games, they're going to have timed exclusives on Discord. So they've got a list of 7 games, which if you head over to Eurogamer.net and see this story, you can actually find out what those games are. One of them is At Sundown, which is going to be this amazing multiplayer game that I played a while back as a beta. I hope it does
7
well.
games that Steam paid.
I played the beta on Steam. Ironically. These games are going to be, when they come out, they're going to be available only on Discord for 60 days. So good luck to Discord. We need someone to challenge Steam at this point, because they get away with everything.
Yeah.
Just everything. And the reason they get away with everything is because nobody's stepped to them. Many have tried, many have fallen. Guild Wars 2 players in Belgium can no longer buy gems from the gem store. So,
Wow.
Loot boxes had to be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I said we hit
It's
every
a-
single point in this
It's a
podcast.
precautionary measure that they've taken, obviously. It's like, turn that off, I'm not getting no fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, we're not getting legal action.
Yeah, I mean, there's a statement released by ArenaNet,
Yeah.
which says, in order to conform to changes in Belgian law, purchase of gems, the Ultimate Edition and the Ultimate Edition Upgrade have been disabled for residents of Belgium. We're continuing to investigate more flexible solutions. We apologise for any inconvenience this may cause our players. Now, obviously, I've given ArenaNet a lot of shit over the last couple of months for completely unrelated topics, but good on them for not implying in their statement that they know more about Belgian law than the Belgian Gambling Commission, which is what every other publisher has done.
Yeah, it's like, it's like even like Blizzard, who I love, as you know, it's like their statement just seems slightly bizarre. Like, oh, we're not doing anything wrong, but we're just complying at the moment, as if like Belgium will suddenly see the light.
Yeah. Oh, we're not doing anything wrong, but we're just changing this because the law says we are. Well, if the law says you are, then you are. Like, unless you successfully challenge that law, you are doing something wrong. Yeah, I don't know enough about Guild Wars 2. I played it when it first came out and fell out of love with it quite quickly. Here's one from Suriel Vasquez at Game Informer, which is Devil May Cry 5 has microtransactions for character upgrades. Yay! This was spotted by GameSpot when they played a demo of the game at TGS. And basically, it's the same shit we've heard. Itsuno, what's his full name? Is it in here? They talk to Itsuno, the developer working on Hideaki Itsuno. The microtransactions are there, quote, if players want to save time and just want to get all the stuff at once, those players can do that. But on the other hand, I don't feel you have to get all the moves. You should be able to play it the way you want to be played. It's all about player choice, guys. Like, we want to make sure that our players can choose to spend full price on a video game and then not actually play it.
Why not give it free then? If it's
You
about
don't have to collect all the moves. So there's moves that you only get if you pay.
What I see, it's an interesting turn of phrase, right? Because most developers will say, you don't have to do it, you can unlock everything just by playing the game. But Itsuno says, I don't feel like you have to get all the moves. What that suggests to me is, and I ranted about this on Twitter, broadly, whenever a single player game offers microtransactions like this, the first thing I think is, your game's not balanced properly. It's going to be a grind, it's going to be frustrating, and I'm not going to enjoy it. Because there's a shortcut available, and that shortcut wouldn't be there if you didn't expect people to buy it. Like, regardless of whether you say, oh, people don't have to buy it, oh, it's just there for player choice. Bullshit. You don't put something in a game unless you want people to buy it.
You make it slightly harder, give the boss a few extra 1,000 hit points or whatever. Or
if it wasn't necessary, it wouldn't be there. If there wasn't something in this game that is going to entice people to buy orbs, then it wouldn't be there. But as Keith, I guess correctly pulled out the one piece of the quote that is really interesting. He says specifically, I don't feel you have to get all of the moves. Not, oh, you can get everything if you just play the game. If you grind.
Do you think there'll be some moves that might not necessarily be available?
I don't even, because I haven't played Devil May Cry. I don't know what these moves do. I mean,
basically what you do is you start off with a basic set of moves. It's like an action RPG. It's not even an RPG, it's action. But basically it's like Bayonetta or something like that. Even though it's the other way around because Devil May Cry came first. Anyway, you just have a basic set of moves and you collect orbs from fallen enemies. And when you collect enough of these orbs, it's a currency, and then you can unlock new moves. So if you think of like special moves, like think of a fighting game where you have the moves and it's like you've got the move list. It's like XXB does this, up and B and then A does this. That's what you're unlocking in Devil May Cry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're unlocking, obviously, in DMC 5. But it sounds to me like one of two things. One, you can't unlock everything unless you pay money. Like, just straight up. There are moves or something that's locked behind an actual paywall. Two, the grind is so bad, nobody is going to be able to unlock everything without paying money. Like, I know it's the same thing, word is slightly different, but there is a critical distinction between the two. And either way, that's not good.
No.
Yeah, Angry Joe's done. I saw a title for Angry Joe, and he was angry. He didn't look pleased on his picture of Devil May Cry 2 review.
No. Sorry, what?
Something about microtransactions. I think it was in the list.
Well, we've been down this road before. Remember Shadow of War?
Yeah. That game I haven't played because
it's fucked. Because they put loot boxes in it. What did they have to do as soon as they took the loot boxes out? They had to rebalance the game. What did Star Wars Battlefront 2? What did DICE have to do as soon as they took the paid loot boxes out? They had to rebalance the game. When you put this shit in a game, the game is not balanced. It just can't be balanced properly. Because I'll bet you is if they take these microtransactions out of the game at some point in the future after it's released in March, they'll have to rebalance the game.
Yeah, when they do a game of the Year Edition.
Yeah.
Like Shadow did.
Like Shadow did. because that's why they removed it, and they had to rebalance it because it wasn't balanced properly. Because it was balanced for a paid economy, not for people who just want to play the game. Which sucks because I was really looking forward to Devil May Cry 5.
I was looking forward to the Shadow of War.
So now it's got this bitter taste in my mouth. This is all I'm going to be able to think about when I watch anything for it. It looks so cool. Only a few months ago when it came out at E3, I was like, look, it looks so cool. And now it's just, no. Anyway, we're going to skip through a few of these really quickly because time is of the essence. Future Assassin's Creed games will probably let you pick your character's gender too, which is interesting. Like, Ubisoft must have found a bunch of money because that was only a few years ago where female optional characters were too expensive to animate.
We knew this for Assassin's Creed.
For Odyssey. I just put that in there so I could bring back the old joke of that one time where they were like, oh, we can't put female characters in our game because we'd have to spend money and we can't afford it because it's too expensive to animate them.
And then they give us Syndicate where you played as a woman for part of it, and now they've gone to the thing where it's like, yeah, you can kind of choose.
Just choose.
Because I haven't played Syndicate, but a lot of people have told me that the female character was a lot more enjoyable to play.
She's right there. Evie Fry. She's right behind me. I bought an Evie Fry statue. She's fucking awesome. Anyway. Valve changes artifact card name due to unintentional slavery illusions. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Right, Ethan
It's just
Gack.
the way they've worded it. It sounds... I've got a bad sense of humor, what can I say, guys?
Valve's card game Artifact is coming out in November. Recently, the Artifact Twitter account has been tweeting out designs for some of the cards alongside explanations of how they work. On September 26th, that included a card called Crack the Whip, the text of which begins, modify a black hero. Today, the name of
How
the
did
card
this
was
get past,
changed.
the guys who, like, go through everything and, like, go, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, depending where the development studio is set, makes it better or worse. If it's set somewhere in the middle of Asia, they're not going to know much about, like...
That's a good point, actually, yeah. Because to them, that wouldn't potentially be seen as being...
The slave trade is not something like Korea spends a lot of time in discussion. The invasion by Japan, yeah.
In the context of the game, black isn't being used racially, but rather to refer to cards of a certain colour with a thematic connection. Crack the Whip's illustration is of a big blue lizard creature whipping a group of smaller blue lizard creatures on a battlefield. The words themselves, though, when taken together, read like an allusion to slavery and the subjugation of people of colour by whites. People following the game, such as commenters on Reset Era, noticed the connection. How do people not catch these things? One of them wrote. Like, I'm oblivious at times, but even I can see a problem here.
Yeah.
And there was a second one, which was a card called Crack the Whip that modifies black heroes, guessing there's not a lot of diversity over at the artifact offices. Jesus. I mean, I'm speechless that somehow made, like, you know, and it's just like...
Whether it was converted into English or whatever, maybe someone should have noticed that.
There's so many people who work at Valve. This should have been noticed. But I'm looking up the developer Valve Corporation. So I'm guessing, yeah, director Brandon Reinhardt, designer Richard Garfield, programmers such and such and such and such. This isn't a foreign developed game.
No. I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt there because we often assume that people in foreign countries understand like the world history that we do, and that's not the case. But yeah, if it wasn't made in Asia, I'm
speechless at how that managed to be a thing. Like, I get it in the context of the game. It's not what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But all you have to do is read it.
Black-bordered hero card or something like that.
Yeah. All you have to do is read the card, read the name of the card, and look at the image of someone whipping a bunch of other characters on the card and go, you know what, guys? This might not be a good idea.
But then it depends on the like. There's another side of it, and the other side is what the game has slavery in it as part of its lore or whatever, right? Its setting. Then
I mean,
if
it
you're right,
obviously
mention
does
slavery, so we
because
have to
that's
say
the image on
because
the card. Like,
it would appear that way. But just because of that, like, yeah, the wording could be done a bit better, but that doesn't necessarily mean that slavery shouldn't be. Like,
no, I mean, you can
we
put
shouldn't forget
slavery
about
in a
slavery.
game, 100%. We should never
Yeah,
forget about slavery. But
no.
even if the game has slavery in it, don't call the card Crack the Whip. And if you do,
Well,
don't have it
yeah.
modify a black hero.
Yeah, that was there. The wording
Yeah.
was pretty piss poor. But Crack the Whip could still, you know,
The name of the game,
if it's fantasy or sci-fi or which
Yeah.
it looks to be fantasy, yeah, it's fine.
it's called Coordinated Assault now. Yeah, they just need to be a little bit more mindful about words and
Yeah.
context. One really quick one that we don't really need to discuss, but Vivendi is going to sell all of its Ubisoft shares by March 2019. We already went down this road with Vivendi. We were so worried that they were going to buy Ubisoft. It's done. It's over. 100%. By March, I think they only have like 7% of their shares left at this point. Now, two more stories. Number one, Swiss football fans throw controllers on the pitch to protest eSports, writes Wesley in Pool of Eurogamer. Swiss football fans forced a league match to stop as they protested eSports. Young boys ultras threw tennis balls and console controllers onto the Stade de Suisse pitch at the 15-minute mark during their home game against Bâle on Sunday the 23rd of September, forcing the referee to pause the game. As reported by the Associated Press, fans also unfurled a giant pause button flag to protest eSports, and even the away supporters got stuck in with a flag of their own. The match was held up by this pre-planned protest for just a few minutes, but the message is clear that hardcore football fans of both clubs want nothing to do with esports. Oh, and Young Boys beat Bâle 7-1.
Yeah.
In the end. But, like, wow. I mean, I know a lot of football clubs have been investing in esports recently. Like, if it makes the sports club money, is that not a good thing? Like, there'll be an initial investment, like there was in the Overwatch League.
That's like if it makes the club money.
The majority of money made by clubs, even I know this is from like TV, like Sky Sports and other broadcasters
TV
buying
licensing
in.
deals, yeah.
They make tons and tons of money that, in one respect, they don't even need fans. 'Cause, like, it was in the news not long ago, actually.
Yeah, they don't actually need people to come to the
Don't need
stadium.
fans, don't need people to go buy tickets, you know, like all the people watching for the telly.
Yeah. When it comes to football, I'm very like.
But the bigger ratings on TV, surely the more money they'll get from Sky. Sorry, go on, Keith.
Probably.
Like, I'm just like, there's a. I mean, it says Switzerland in there, and I'm just thinking one about the British football clubs, most of which is a lot of them kind of run on this sort of razor edge of debt, where they'll get money and then they pay the footballers a massive amount, and then it's like.
What the footballers should have been doing was throwing tellies onto the pitch, because in reality it should go back to being a spectator sport, not a TV watching sport. If they were so worried about, but then again, that's where all the money comes from. That's how they get all these fancy players from a variety of different countries that come and play at their teams and.
And just in case it wasn't abundantly clear already, the three of us know nothing about football.
Yay! That's true. I know nothing about football, other than the fact that they get majority of the money from TVs. Like,
they pay them a lot of money and they kick a ball around a field and chase
I know
it.
more about.
And most of them get dropped by kind of 24.
Last one from Bria Rice over at Massively Overpowered. Fortnite claims yesterday's boob physics patch was unintended. Sorry. You might be wondering why, on a day like yesterday of all days, Epic Games would patch in Lady Boob Jiggle as a tacky cosmetic emote to Fortnite. This was written during the whole Kavanaugh thing in America that we're not going to discuss here on the podcast.
Yes.
But that's exactly what it did, as multiple sites, including ours, picked up yesterday. Epic is now claiming it was an accidental inclusion, which ought to be making you do that thing you do with your face when what you're hearing sounds like complete BS. How does the richest game in the world accidentally ship boob physics without anybody along the pipeline noticing or calling it out?
That's awesome. I'm just watching a video now.
This is unintended, embarrassing, and it was careless for us to let this ship, an Epic representative reportedly told IGN. We are working now to fix this as soon as possible. It looks as if the update to remove it rolled out earlier on the morning of September 28th. Like, I mean, this is the first thing I thought, because I heard about this. Fortnite did a thing. There's dancing and more. Boobs are going all over the place. It's like playing Dead or Alive.
Yeah, this
Dead or Alive was the first thing I thought about when I heard boob physics.
Boob jiggle. And, like, I mean, whatever. It's got boob, right? It's ridiculous, but... And like, kids play the game, so they need to get it patched out 100%. Sorry, it was an accident. Like, I mean, I know very little, relatively, about game development, but I'm pretty sure you can't make physics happen in a game by accident.
without actually tagging it and saying this will be affected by physics.
A thing, right? Like, in this case, boobs, right? But a thing in a game that has been out for like a year, I think. It's been about a year since Battle Royale Fortnite came out. That has been in here and has not moved. Suddenly moves. Do you know what happened? Someone was dicking about with the physics settings of this character.
Saved it
for a laugh.
Without realizing.
And accidentally saved it, and it got uploaded in the patch. And then boob physics happened.
That's funny.
That's me giving Epic the benefit of the doubt, not just say they were putting this in because they thought it would be awesome, and everybody kind of went, "What the fuck?" And they were like, "Oh shit, sorry, we did it by accident. Oh bad, we'll take it out." That's the worst case scenario. I choose to believe that somebody was dicking about and.
Well, the closer it sounds, we know how like game developers, think about in their spare time.
I mean, like we've seen I hope we've all seen the alternate ending to The Walking Dead season 1 at this point. It's one of those things that is definitely not an accident. Like it's 100%.
Well, it is an accident, or it's someone messing on, dicking about, going, I'm gonna save this.
Like it obviously wasn't. I probably meant to get uploaded, but like that was accidental. But the actual creation of them,
probably two guys in the office go, watch this, and then not realizing that they've added it into the patch or whatever, and like when they've been
there was probably somebody sitting at a workstation at Epic Games when all this news started coming up, just going,
shit, that might be my fault.
Just suddenly starts going through files and update logs on his computer.
Who last patched this? Or who was meant to last check it? Yeah. Or who added in the code? Because that's right.
Sorry guys, I can't come into work today.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully it was just as innocent as that, and they weren't actually doing something really, really fucking stupid. At a really fucking stupid time to do it. That's it. Gonna do it for a fucking jam-packed episode of the Words About Gamescast.
There was a lot there, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot that happened this week, and normally when there's a lot that happens, it's like you can skip certain things, and it's just there was everything that happened in the past week. Just like what would you cut? Hopefully it's a quiet week next week because all the games are out and everybody's playing games. That's going to do it. Thank you very much for joining me, lads. I guess all that's left to say is bye.
Bye.
Bye.